What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler. The Miami Mayhem finale. Now listen, I know you guys have been asking for this for a while. Get ready for it. But before we dive into that, there's a couple things I need to mention. First off, drop a like if you enjoy. Second off, the new merch drop is now live. We've got shot glasses, stickers, the notorious GOB hoodie / t-shirt. We have got a new blanket, the party blanket. We've got hella new stuff on the site. I'm not going to waste time listing it all. Links at the very top of the description and in the comments as well. I appreciate all the love on the merch and you guys making this possible. Get yourself a shot glass and drink up with me. Get some stickers, put them on your ball. Get that GOB hoodie, enjoy it. Get the t-shirt too. If your climate's cold, get the hoodie. Either way, they're beautiful. Thank you all for making all this possible. I love you all. Thank you everyone for supporting me. I appreciate it very much. Let's dive right into it. So, in the last episode of Miami Mayhem, we left off on the night of July 4th, and that night was pretty eventful. In fact, I think pretty much the entire episode 3 was dedicated to July 4th. I left Miami on July 6th in the evening, so this video might get a little long, I'm not really sure, but I didn't want to divvy it up into more parts anymore. I felt, we could get this into an episode and just make a banger here, So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So I woke up the following day on July 5th, and I had a little bit of weed left, and I was trying to roll up for us, but I realized really quickly that we were out of blunts, so we had to make a mission. I get Ashley out of bed, and I'm like, yo, listen, we got to go get some blunts. Like, do you know what's the closest spot? Like, where can we go, So she's looking on maps, and she's like, hey, 7-Eleven right across the street. Let's go, right? So we pop out of the hotel. We just throw on some clothes, we changed out of, what we slept in, but we did not get ready in any way, shape, or form. We looked homeless damn near. We pop out the hotel and go walk down the block and hit 7-Eleven. It was pretty hot out, but, there was a nice breeze going through the street, which was surprising. It wasn't, too humid yet, because it was still fairly early in the day, so we picked a good time to wake up and get out and get this done. So I go over to the 7-Eleven, Ashley and I, we go over there. We go inside and we grab some drinks, and I grab us a couple packs of blunts, right? We walk on back to the hotel, and now, we've got ourselves some smoke. The day can begin. Now, as I mentioned in the last episode, we smoked that god-awful pre-roll, and, it was the best of the 3 items that we gotten, but that's not saying much, okay? We still had some of this ball of berries left, and even some of this truffle cake, and at this point, I was bone sober, so I wanted it. I would lock me in, I needed to, I would smoke the ball of berries. I'd even smoke truffle cake at this point, right? I didn't care. I'd smoke dirt weed as long as I felt an impact, didn't care, right? So, we get back up to the hotel room, and at this point, it's still pretty early. It's I want to say 10 a.m. or so. We woke up pretty early in the day, I remember that. And we're chilling out for a little bit. I've got the blunts now. And I decide to start rolling up a blunt. I'm like, hey, we got the wraps. We got the ball of berry. Let's roll up. So while I go and sit in the little, table in the corner that's kind of by the balcony, Ashley goes and takes a shower. She's like, okay, I'm going to hop in the shower. And I'm like, bet, sounds good. So she goes, she takes a shower. And I've got a little bit of time to myself now, I twist up this blunt pretty quickly, and I'm waiting for her to get out of the shower, and I'm debating on rolling another one, but I'm kind of feeling a little lazy, I don't want to. So I bust out my inner alcoholic, and I notice that we've still got about a little bit of liquor left, enough to get a glass or two, where I could go sit on the balcony and enjoy myself. A nice glass of rosé, just get my day started right. I wanted to wait for her to get out of the shower to smoke the blunt, so bet. I'll go out there, have a little sip, So I go out to the balcony, and I'm sitting there just kind of enjoying the view. We're super high up. It's just a beautiful view that we had. It was honestly awesome. You guys have seen the thumbnails, the pictures of me. It was a sick view, right? So we're chilling there. I'm looking off the balcony, and, I kind of have a deep moment, if you will, on the balcony, We're going to get a little personal here, I'm sitting out there, and I'm just kind of thinking to myself for a little while. And I remember, I don't know what, I guess getting the liquor in me made me remember, but I took a couple sips of this rosé, and I was like, hey, I still have a lot of drugs left. You guys might recall a couple episodes back, I bought that blow, and I haven't really talked much about it. Same with the Xanax. If you guys remember in the first episode, I mentioned that I brought Xanax with me. Haven't really said much about it, but I had more than I needed for my flight home, because I was expecting to take some throughout the trip. And it kind of hit me, it kind of dawned upon me, I guess, at this very moment. I was like, yo, I forgot I even had drugs. That's not like me. And I kind of had this, like, this wake up moment, this, like, just smack to the side of the face. And I was sitting there and I was like, I was really trying to dig in my brain. I was like, how did that happen? At first, I was like, maybe it's because I'm drinking. But then I'm like, no, dude. I've drank plenty of times before I came here. In fact, even though we drank the whole time, I drank probably less than I would have if I was just at home, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what caused me to genuinely bring drugs and then lose all interest in all of them, right? And I was sitting there, and you know what I really realized? Is that this was one of the most stress-free, happy moments I'd had, or happy points of my life that I'd had recently in a very long time. I'd made a habit out of Xanax ever since the beginning of April of this year, and it hadn't stopped up until this day, right? Well, okay, the following day, I had to get rid of the drugs I had, so hey, it's about to get fun in this story. But listen, I was sitting out there, and I was like, man, I need to quit this shit. In particular, Xanax was the first one that I set my sights on. I was sitting there and I was like, dude, I've gone against my own word. I've been popping yops and shit. Like, I don't even like these little fuckers, I've been doing it because I've been unhappy and I've been feeling like shit. And I kind of realized in the moment there that, like, I'm fucking happy. I'm free, boys, I was feeling good. I'm up in Miami. I'm living good. I got a beautiful Ashley with me. Times are good, okay? Times are good. No more of the previous scenario, which we're not going to even talk about. But listen, times were good. Life was good. The merch stuff was lining up. All the glass stuff, the grinder, like, everything was coming together, it felt like. And that was just kind of like the peak of it, where I was sitting there on that balcony and I was like, dude, I feel like fucking Tony right now. Like, this, I feel incredible. I feel like I just ate Molly, but I haven't done Molly in a minute, Like, this is great. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm going to crunch the rest of this glass, and then I'm going to start partying. Because after I made that commitment, I was like, well, I guess you could consider this my final hoorah, right? If you guys watched my video, my most recent upload, not episode 3, there was actually one in between 3 and then this one. The Ultimate Xanax Fiend is the title of it. You guys can go to my channel and find it. I actually mention coming home from the airport from Miami and getting rid of the rest of my Xans, but that's in that video. We're not going to talk about that in this series, right? So I finish off my glass of rosé, and I go back inside. And Ashley's still getting ready. She's, like, out of the shower, still, doing her hair, all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, I mean, you do your lady thing. That's why you went first. When I get in the shower, I just kind of wash my hair, wash my nuts, wash whatever other part of me I need to, hop out and let my hair dry however the fuck it wants to. And I'll worry about that later, Brush my teeth, draw on some deodorant, cologne, bam. I'm fucking ready to rumble, dude. Put on a Hawaiian shirt. I really look like a sleaze bag. It's perfect, right? But either way, back on topic. So she's over there getting ready, and I'm kind of sitting there, and I'm feeling real good about myself. Like, I don't know. I hadn't really had that kind of time to reflect, or I'd never taken the time, I guess I should say, to do that. And it was a really big kind of wake-up moment for me. So I was like, okay, let's get rid of the rest of these fucking drugs now, boys. So listen, do not do this, all right? Do not combine drugs with one another. The only things that I'd say are cool to combine are, like, alcohol and weed. When you're drunk, hell yeah, hit the blunt, But listen, what I'm about to do is stupid, and you shouldn't do it, all right? But I did it, and I'm stupid, so that's why I did it, all right? I still had 2 Xans left, right? Was it 2 or was it 3? Oh, God. All right, I had Xanax left. Let's just say that. All I know is that by the time I made it to my plane, I brought the last one with me to the airport for my flight home. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm getting home, and I'm dumping the rest of my bars. And that's exactly what I did. We made a video about that. But on this particular day, I got back in, I popped that first bar, right? I'm sitting there, she's still doing her hair. I popped that first bar. I'm chilling for a little bit, kind of waiting for it to hit, and I realized I still have a bunch of Coke. And even though it wasn't the greatest quality, I kind of overpaid for it, So I go in, I go in my little baggie, my backpack where I had my stash at. And I'm sifting through it trying to find the blow. And it was so deep in there because I hadn't really touched it since that day I got it, Like, I really hadn't been doing very much Coke this entire time, Or Xans either, which surprised me because I was really expecting to at least have a fine mixture of both. But all I was really doing is drinking, smoking weed, and enjoying myself, So, wait, we need a hydration moment. Hey, this Ice Mountain is looking fucking good, dude. Oh! I just ascended the mountain. It's icy. Ice Mountain. Oh, man. Wait, I'm taking another sip. Everyone shut the fuck up. All right, back on topic. So, I'm chilling there, having a good time. I decided to chop up a little bit of blow right after I popped this Xan. Stupid decisions don't do this. And right after drinking, it was just a glass of rosé, so I wasn't drunk. I wasn't even really buzzed either. I was just kind of had that extra pep in my step, feeling a little loose, you know what I'm saying? So I decided to do a little bit of blow, and I'm like, well, today starts the mopping of all the substances. I'm clearing them all out, right? I'm getting rid of what we got here. Hadn't done them. I can't, Ashley doesn't do these drugs. She doesn't like any of that stuff. So I had to do these by myself, right? I had to do these solo. This was a one operator mission here. So I'm sitting there and I chop up. And the thing with this Coke was the consistency of it made it such a bitch to chop. Like I could never get it finely chopped. Even with a razor, it was still a pain in the ass, right? And Ashley had given me this little like a bottle opener that looks like an ace poker card, right? But it doubled as a pretty decent Coke tool. So I was using that, and even with that thing, it was just not doing it, right? It was absolutely not doing it at all. So eventually, after what felt like 10 hours of chopping, but was realistically probably 20 minutes, I was chopping for so long that Ashley did her hair and got ready and came over and sat with me before I was done chopping. Listen, ladies out there, you could probably guesstimate how long that took. Men out there, I don't know if you've ever gotten laid. You know that shit takes a while, dude. And I'm going to tell you right now, that shit took a while. Yo, I slammed my desk and it didn't turn off this time. That's fire, dude. I can do desk slams. All right, nope, it turned off that time. Okay, all right, back on topic here. So, I finally finished chopping up this blow, and I do a couple lines of it. I only chopped up 2 lines, and I didn't even enjoy myself, because this Coke was really not it, it's just, the product was not where it needed to be, so I was like, shit, dude, I don't even see myself finishing all this blow, honestly, I say all this like I had a lot, I bought like an 8-ball, but I don't even think I did a gram out of it, dude, I really was not enjoying this Coke very much at all. I did a couple lines, and it just clogged up my nose, it gave me the worst runs ever, and I was sitting there and I was like, I'm gonna get rid of this. So I went out to the balcony, and I sealed this bag of Coke the best I could. I made sure all the Ziploc parts were closed. And I said, you know what? Some lucky July 4th vacationer is going to get even luckier in a moment. And I dropped that baggie off the balcony, and away she went. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, baggie. Bye. I don't know where the fuck that shit went. I lost sight of it after it got like a story or 2 down, because that shit was tiny, right? But I hope someone found it. It didn't just get like run over, I hope someone found that. Or maybe I don't. It was pretty shit blow. Okay, no, maybe... Alright, I hope it got ran over, actually. Let's flip the script. I hope it got ran over. But either way, I drop it off the balcony, and Ashley's sitting there, and she's like, did you just do that? And I was like, yeah. What are they gonna do? Like, call 12? And she's like, oh my god. She was kind of a little, like shocked about it. And I was like, well, realistically, what's the harm, it's not like a fucking dog is gonna come and be like, oh, cocaine, no, dude, a human's coming first for that baggie. So... either way, I go back inside, and we're sitting there for a little bit, and we had all these, plans for the trip, right? We initially planned, we were like, yo, let's go to a sleazy sex motel, But after a while, we kind of realized that plans are lame, and we'd rather just get intoxicated and go with the flow, So that's what we did the entire trip. This last day, we were, debating, or this last full day, I should say, we were debating on, what we should do, and I was like, yo, let's just chill and get absolutely sent off our rockers, right? So that's exactly what we did. I told her, let's clear out all the alcohol that we can. Let's smoke all our weed. Let's just make sure nothing goes to waste. So that's what we did. We had a nice, stay-in kind of day, right? Where all we did was, for the rest of the day was, that bar kind of hit me. I was feeling barred out, and we just chilled out, sitting in bed, smoking some weed, having some drinks, getting some room service, and just chilling, Kind of wanted to enjoy our last day together. So, last full day, should I say. So, that's kind of how that day went. Getting into detail about that would be pointless, because there's not much content in there. But the final day rolls around the next day, and things get spicy once again. I'll tell you what, we woke up. And we woke up kind of late. We woke up at 10 o'clock, and checkout's at noon at this hotel. So 10 o'clock would be a fine time if it wasn't checkout day. I woke up, and the moment I looked at the clock, I was like, yeah, we're not checking out at that time. Because my flight out of Miami wasn't until oh man, I'm pretty sure it was 6:30 or 7 p.m. even. So I had time to blow. Realistically, I wasn't going to have to be at the airport till 5:30, So I'm sitting there, and I wake up Ashley, and I'm like, Ashley, what do you want to do? Checkout time's in 2 hours. Should I get late checkout, or what's the plan? She's like, yeah, if you want to, go for it. So I call the front desk and I tell them, yeah, man, I'm going to need some late checkout. They're like, oh, what time do you think it's going to be? And they're like, if you do it any time past 4 o'clock, it's a full night stay, like the cost of it, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do a 3:45, right? I'm sitting there and I'm just hoping they'll forget. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, sounds good. We'll see you at 3:45, Mr. Nicholas. I'm like, okay, thanks. Good looks. So now we got a few extra hours on the playbook here. Now, the cocaine had already been disposed of. We smoked some weed, and we saved a little bit for the last day. We had enough to smoke, like, I think 2 more blunts, and that was it. And I'm talking truffle cake, mind you. We saved the worst for last, quite honestly. But we had to do what we had to do. So, we get out of bed, and I roll up a blunt of this fucking truffle cake. And we go out to the balcony, and Ashley and I are just sitting there. You know, we're enjoying the view. We're chilling out, smoking some weed. And we decide, you know what? Fuck it. We're not leaving this hotel until we absolutely have to. Like 5:30. Literally 5:30 was when we ended up leaving the hotel. We stayed and we just chilled there for a little bit, kind of doing the same thing as the day prior. You know, it was like a follow-up. We just packed up our suitcases. We kind of got ready a little bit. We didn't really have to clean very much because there wasn't really much of a mess. It was just kind of bottles, which we just like grouped up on the table, you know? But all we really had to do was just throw our clothes together, and she had way more than me. She brought this whole ass suitcase and a bag, all this crazy ass shit. I showed up to Miami with nothing but a Champion backpack, like the same way I showed up to LA to film with Yola. I don't believe in suitcases. If you can't fit that shit in a backpack, you don't need it while you're traveling, okay? I am a backpack man, a backpack boy, if you will, right? So, wait, I need another hydration moment. Hold on. Oh, fuck, dude. Ice Mountain is fire. I'm just going to lay it out. Big ups to their 100% natural spring water, which is sourced in Michigan, if I remember correctly. I don't know, dude. The more I think about that, the more fucked it is. Don't they got Flint up there? That's kind of scuffed. Why is our spring water coming from there? I don't know, dude. Either way, back on topic. So, we're chilling in this hotel, kind of packing our stuff, getting ready. And we decide before we leave, let's just smoke one more blunt. We might as well, We go out to the balcony, and as we're out on the balcony, room service comes to the door, and they ask if we need cleaning. I say no, okay? I say absolutely not. He leaves, right? The room service guy leaves. Later on, okay, granted, it was like 4 o'clock, right? So a little bit past 3:45, and I hadn't called the front desk yet to notify them that I was going to be extending a little further, right? Granted, even with those details, this still shouldn't have happened, right? Some time goes by, and Ashley and I are laying in bed, and let's just say I'm in a position where my pants are not up, okay? They are down, and my schmeat is out for the world to see, okay? I hear a knock on my door, so I get out of bed, and I'm like pulling my pants up, right? I'm like trying to get them up, but they were like these they were like these joggers, and they were like tied. So I pulled them down while they were tied, so I had to like untie them to pull them back up. You know how that shit go. So I'm sitting there and I'm like reaching out to untie them, and as I start like pulling them back up, dude just comes into our fucking room. He knocked like one time and then just opens the door. I look up and make this like primal, like feral eye contact with this man. And I don't know if I just mean mugged him so hard. I was pissed, dude, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? They couldn't have even given 2 seconds after the knock for me to pull my pants up at least. Like, it's not like, come on, dude, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there. This man makes eye contact, dead eye contact with me. I know he saw my penis. Immediately just goes, oh, and just closes the door. And I'm sitting there and I'm like shocked, bro. I pull my pants up and I go over and I open the door and I look out the hallway. Homeboy's gone. I was about to be blown, dude. I was dead. I was about to be like, hey, like what did you need? But this guy just opened our door, went like, oh, and just left. Now, granted, I don't think we had the like bolts on the door that would have prevented him from doing that. But even then, like, bro, knock a few times at least, like yell out housekeeping or something. And we already declined housekeeping, so why are you coming in? It blew me, dude. But either way, really killed the vibes there. I got blue-balled by the housekeeping man is all I'm going to say. All right, we'll move on. So, after that rolled around, I realized, I should probably call the front desk, So I call the front desk and I explain, hey, we're going to be out a little later than 4. And they're like, oh, that's fine. It'll just be the cost of a whole night. I say, bet, no problem. We start really finishing the last stages of packing our stuff and actually getting ready to go. I hop in the shower. I'm all ready to go. I'm nice and spiffy for my flight. I'm like, okay, Let's fucking get it. I still got that one Zan with me. So we get all our shit together. And we realized pretty quickly that we were going to try to finesse our way into not paying the late fee. I had an idea in my head. And I just told Ashley, I said, listen, just follow me. The hotel we stayed at was attached to a mall. Like, if you went down to the lobby, right, there was a door you could go through that was connected to this parking garage that, like, was attached to a mall. It was a very weird, like, layout, but it was kind of cool at the same time. Very convenient, right? So, we go down to the lobby of this hotel. We did not finish packing all of our stuff. I left behind, I'd say a pair of pants and a good shirt. I know I left behind a good shirt, right? Ashley left some shit behind, too. She texted me later. She's like, oh, I left my dress in there. She brought this nice green dress that she left in there, which it was pretty bougie, actually, so I'm kind of blown that she left that. But either way, you know, we get the fuck out of there. And when you get down in the elevator, you don't actually have to cut through the lobby to leave, because the door to that parking garage is just off to the side, right by the exit of the elevators, right? So we go through that door and down to Ashley's car. We hop in Ashley's car and we go to the airport, right? Now, I get to the airport, I get dropped off, you know, we say our goodbyes, you know, give her a little smooch, all that kind of stuff, whatever. I get back on my plane, right? I go through security, everything's cool, and before going through security, I pop my Xan, right? As I was pulling up to the airport, I should have mentioned that sooner, but I popped my Xan right before I went in, my final one. So my bag was clean, I wasn't bringing anything home with me, I didn't need to either way, and I go through the airport, get through security just fine, and I'm walking to my gate, and I go to the bar to get some mojitos, right? Now, whenever I book hotels, I have a rule, because hotels love to, like, charge you incorrect amounts or put pending amounts, so you never really know how much is going to be put on your card. So I never use my main checking account. I have a separate checking account that I use, like, exclusively for traveling and stuff like that. Like, whether it's a business trip or a vacation, doesn't matter. I literally only use this checking account to, like, either book, like, anything that has a pending charge that will change. So, like, Ubers, fucking flights, fucking Lyft rides, fucking hotels, things like that. Flights, not really. I just condense it all to that card. I keep it on that card. So I go to the airport. I usually do all my travel expense. It's like how I budget in my head for trips. I'll transfer money to that bank account and be like, okay, here's how much I'm spending on that trip. Just look in the bank balance. It's like, okay, I can blow the whole thing because that's not even my main checking, you know? So I'm going through the airport, and at the time I had, like, maybe like $1,000 left on that card, you know? So I was like, okay, you know, move that back to the main account, spent a little less than I expected to. Thumbs up, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going through the airport, and I go over to the bar, and I checked my balance earlier in the day. I knew that I had, like, money in my account. So I was like, no sweat, no problem, right? I go to the bar, and I try to buy a mojito, and I use my travel card, and it declines. And I'm like, what the fuck? I've never had a hold put on this card or anything, you know? So I bust out my main card, and that goes through, everything's fine. So I'm like, okay, weird. I get over to my gate, right? And I sit down with I bought like 3 fucking mojitos, dude. I was ready to go for this flight. I'm sitting there, I'm off 1 Xan, 3 mojitos. Hey, baby. Hey. You know what time it is. We're getting sauced on this flight home. And I'll tell you that much. But either way, I'm sitting at the terminal. I bust open that bank account that I mentioned. Dude, my balance was like negative $1,800, bro. They charged me almost $3,000. They double charged for the stay, right? I paid when I first got there and put my card on file. They put a hold, but then they actually charged me the second day and then added a shitload, all the like stuff we drank out of the room in the fridge and all this shit. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that, because the first one was just a hold. And I was sitting there and I was like, fuck, dude, I always forget that shit. That's why I have this account every time. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck? So I call the hotel and I'm like, hey, I just wanted to call and confirm, you know, if this seems kind of strange. I got double charged, I think, right? So the hotel's like, oh yeah, we'll have that charge reversed ASAP, you know? And I'm like, well, the amount's kind of weird to me too, because it's much higher than I expected. Could you break it down for me? And they're breaking it down, and I'm going full finesser mode here. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, you know, we had to add on the extra night stay fee because you checked out after 4. And I knew. I never went to the checkout desk. So I was like, oh no, like I left around like 1 o'clock. I left at like 12:30, just slightly after checkout. You know, I just had it right out. I was in a rush. And they were like, oh, you know, like you didn't come to the front desk, so we didn't know what time you checked out. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was just in such a rush, I forgot, you know? And they were like, okay, sir, we'll have your late fees lifted. Hey, 6 beautiful free hours in a nice hotel. Count me in, right? So I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Sorry for the misunderstanding, yada, yada. I hang up. I'm sitting there, and I'm feeling good. I'm just smiling at this gate. And there's this guy sitting across from me who he's wearing some nice kind of shoes. He's got some Jordans on, too. And I'm like, hey, I like your shoes. And he compliments mine, too. And then we're talking a little bit. We're chatting it up. Just talk about shoes. He's like, oh, where'd you get those? We're just talking about it and shit. And I'm asking about, like, what kinds of shoes he likes and all that shit. And he notices how fucked up I am. I slammed the first mojito while we were talking, and then the second one I was drinking a little slower. And he's like, "Damn, you getting fucked up, my boy." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I gotta do what I gotta do." So I started on my second mojito and get a couple sips, and then boarding starts, and I'm like, "Okay, I got 2 mojitos. I don't really think you're supposed to bring these on the plane, but like I'm totally bringing these on the plane either way, right?" Some airports, like, it literally depends on who you're flying with, right? Like, in Chicago, they're pricks about that shit. In Chicago, they will actually make you throw your drink away, right? Like, listen, you gotta butter up the airline a little bit. Not the airline, like the people at the gate a little bit, You just gotta smile and look at them and hold your drink in a way where they can't see that it's clearly alcoholic. Just make it look like a coffee or something, right? And you're good. But me being fucked up, I thought the best course of action was to take the drink and put it in my backpack. So I take this mojito that just it's in like a Starbucks cup with like the same kind of caps, There's a hole in it. There's nothing keeping this sealed. I take one of them and just stuff it into my fucking backpack. And then I just hold the other one. And they're not very big. They're pretty small. So I can hold them in a way where my whole hand kind of covers the drink. And you can't really see what's in it, So I just figured if I brought 2 on, then they'd be like, oh, this guy's an alcoholic, But if I brought 1, I could conceal it in a way where like, okay, all right, he's just got a little drink, and they'd let me slide, right? So I get on my plane, and I board that, and I get to my seat, and I sit in the middle, and I slam this fucking mojito. Now, my trick is, whenever I'm flying alone, I book a middle seat, and here's why, okay? If I'm just taking a nice, normal flight, cheap flight home, I'll take a middle seat. Because normally I book pretty late, Like I book pretty close to the date of flights. There's not a lot of seats open. So the reason I do that is because typically if you're flying with 2, you're going to book a window and an aisle to try to encourage no one to get between you. So you have the whole row. I am your I am the demon. I'm the antichrist when it comes to that, okay? I'll sit in the fucking middle. And y'all are going to want to talk to each other during the flight about private things. You're going to give me a seat I want, either an aisle or a window. I don't care. I like them both. I just hate the middle. But half the time I don't actually end up in the middle. More than half. Most of the time this works, right? So I, of course, get this couple. And they wanna like switch with me. So I'm like, bet, say less. This happens almost every time I do this. It fucking works. It's just a genius play. Or only one other person books in your row, and then you can just take a seat. Ooh, that water hit. I'm sorry. But either way, I sit there and I slam my first mojito before they even came. I pull my second mojito out of my backpack once the flight's kind of going, like a little bit after takeoff, right? And they're kind of looking at me funny. They look at me like a dirty alcoholic, but I don't give a shit, dude. I take a sip of that second mojito, the third one, pardon me. I don't know what it was about the third one that just sent me, but I got the best sleep of my life on that flight. I shit you not, I didn't wake up until the flight was over, I don't think. Like maybe once or twice. Actually, no, I know I really didn't wake up much because I remember when we landed, I woke up and some guy got arrested on my flight for like threatening a flight attendant. I tweeted a video of it a little while ago. Like I had no idea what was happening, but when we landed, the cops came on before anyone could deboard and just yanked this guy off the plane. It was actually funny as shit. But either way, I landed and then I was home, baby. We don't need to talk about what happened after that. You guys already know about the Uber driver I met on my way home. Our most recent upload is actually about that, so go watch that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, gamers.